Andy Lees from On Bad Fitness, and today we're going to be talking about baby wearing safety and the ABCs of baby wearing. So you may have heard other acronyms thrown around like TICS, I don't know, maybe a different ABC, but I find that really hard to remember. That's a lot of things, and I don't actually find that all that helpful when you are putting on a carrier. So instead, I like to use the ABCs of baby wearing, which is 3 points to remember and also corresponds to 3 sections of your carrier to check, which makes it a lot easier to do when you're out and about and maybe a little bit stressed out because you've got a lot on your mind, rather than having to go through all those 5 points of the TICS checklist. So we're going to start with the first, and that is A for airway. This is checking to make sure that your baby's airway is unobstructed and that you have a good view of their airway so you can check and make sure that they're safe. So in a carrier, that corresponds to the top of the carrier. So that means that nothing is covering baby's head so that you can't see them, that baby is high enough on your chest that you can see them really easily, that they're not covered. So you can see this baby would not really pass my airway check because she's way down in the carrier. This is coming up a little bit too high. And I can't see for sure that she has access to fresh air or that her chin isn't like slumping to her chest. So I would want to adjust that by bringing this waistband up a little higher, scooping her down towards me a little bit, and pulling these straps away. So now you can see, I can check and see that she has access to fresh air. Her face is nice and clear, and we are able to stay and connected so that I can keep checking on her as we wear. So that is the top of the carriers for A, airway. Then we're going to talk about letter B. B is for supported back. This corresponds to the middle of the carrier, and that's where we check how well baby's spine is supported for their development and also how tight the carrier is to keep them comfortable. So depending on your baby's age, this will change a little bit, but with newborns, we're really looking for their spine to be curved towards us, and the carrier should support them in that optimal shape. So you want the carrier to be tight enough in this area that they're not flopping around, stamping, moving separately from your body, but not so tight that it's pinching in on their spine, right? That's not supportive, that's tension, and they're not going to like it. So you're really looking for baby to be smoothly supported here so that they move with your body as one, rather than jostling. Here, let me loosen it so you can see. Jostling, right? If I were to move around, this baby is now swinging around inside the carrier, and she could easily slump down into a position that's not great. So that would not be well supported. Whereas, when it's tightened just enough, you can see then she is well supported. There are no lines of tension here on her spine, and we move together as one without her jostling around or away from me. Finally, the third letter is letter C, and that's for circulation. This is going to correspond to the bottom of the carrier. So this is where we're checking to make sure that the carrier isn't so tight or positioned in a way that cuts off circulation to baby's limb. Now, babies do tend to have really poor circulation, so they might get purplish or mottled legs occasionally, and that is pretty normal. But what we don't want is for them to consistently be turning like a dark purple or blue color, to be turning a really bright red, or to have difficulties like if you press on your skin and you make a little white mark. You want to pay attention to how quickly the blood flows back to that area. So that's what you're checking to make sure there's not a circulation problem. With the carrier, what I see this a lot with, and not as much in this carrier, but sometimes with ring flings or wraps or carriers that have cinches here, is that there will be a lot of fabric tightened up here for baby's legs, and they are dangling down like this, which put all of their weight right here on their hips, which isn't great for hip development, but also can really affect them in circulation. Think how you feel if you're like dangling off of a bike chair for an hour. That's not great, right? That's not awesome for our circulation, and it's really not good for theirs because they're not that good at circulation anyway. So what we really want to make sure is that we're not over tightening the bottom here, that we're not bunching too much fabric up, and that they're in this comfortable M position, which is also optimal for their hip development. So we get like a win there. So that means that their butt is slightly lower than their knees, and their legs are supported all the way through their thighs, but they can still swing their knees freely, okay? So this is going to set them up for the most comfort, for the best hip development, and for improved circulation so they can stay comfortable for longer and not risk any of that discomfort or sometimes dangerous stuff that can happen with circulation issues. So those are the ABCs of baby wearing. This is a great way to give yourself a checklist to go through every time you put on your carrier. A, for the top of the carrier, check the airway. B, for the middle of the carrier, check that their back is well supported. And C, for the bottom of the carrier, check that they're comfortable and have good circulation. I'm always happy to address any issues, concerns, fit checks you have. Just comment below and let me know what's on your mind.